Sports fans, get ready for Sportz-USA. Get sports from a personal point of view from seasoned professionals who've reported and lived the stories. Now let's go to the crew high atop the Sportz-USA press box.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Sportz-USA.com, and we are excited. This is episode number 14. With me today, I've got Lee Baker and Coach K. So we've got the middle part of the United States kind of mixed in together tonight. Several people are out, so we're kind of a skeleton crew. We're hoping that Bo Carter can join us here soon. But there is a lot going on, gentlemen, in the world of sports. I want to start with softball. We had the super regionals this last weekend, and now we're headed into Oklahoma City and the World Series. And Coach, there was some sparks flying out in Gainesville, Florida this week. Tell me your take on the Florida Texas Tech game, and then I want to talk to Lee about it as well.
Well, I mean, very, very competitive. Florida, has been a perennial participant in the Women's College World Series. Hey, there's Bo. And, so to lose and lose as badly as they did, they got really, I see it as frustration, but frustration shouldn't lead to the actions that we saw on the field. All kinds of things, totally against all the credos of sportsmanship that you've ever been taught.
Absolutely.
And,
I mean,
and the ejection, that to me was pure theatrics.
I couldn't agree more.
I'm mad and I'm going to take my ball and go home.
Right.
So it was disappointing. I mean, the fact is, it's a class program. They demonstrated that year after year after year, and to get so frustrated and blow. They just got outplayed.
They did.
They got outplayed. I mean, there's no disgrace in losing. You can be disappointed, but there's no disgrace in losing if somebody just plain flat outplays you and demonstrates more talent. So, that one was really disappointing. I was disappointed in a couple of others. Obviously, OU, one of my teams, again, losing. It's going to be a strange College World Series without
Mississippi
them.
State dogs there.
And Mississippi State, I mean, they are the Cinderella, coming out of Oregon and out of the super regionals with OU, both underdogs in both of those. So my team is still fighting. The one that I picked way, way, way back when, Nebraska. Like I said,
you've been riding their coattails all
I've
year.
I've been riding them.
I
think, and I've been following them. I started doing a lot of reading real early in February, and they just put together a good program.
They really have,
and they've hit the portal really well. And but like we talked about a couple of weeks ago, pitching wins championships. And the teams that you're looking at right now that are going to be competitive, and again, you've got Nebraska, they've got two aces. You got Tech, they've got two aces. I mean, elite level pitching. The one team that's probably got a good chance to do it, they've got one. UCLA has got one outstanding pitcher, but they are just, they've got two girls with almost 40 home runs apiece.
Right.
They just crush
my
you.
dark horse Arkansas is playing pretty well too.
They're the ones that looking at it, they're favored to be right in the mix.
And UT did what they had to do to get there as well.
Tennessee kind of surprised. I mean, there's some. Just it kind of played out. Texas is going to defend. I mean, and you can't discount. But it's going to be an interesting series with Florida and OU out of it.
It is.
Because that just kind of left the door wide open
Lee,
for everybody.
I want to go back to that Tech Florida matchup. And, Mia Williams plays for Tech now, played for Florida last year. And, Lee, what did you make of her getting plunked 5 times in that 3-game series. 3 of them on the first pitch of her at bat. Now realize she only got hit 4 times all year.
Well, it's pretty amazing. I mean, I think they made a point. What did I see where not only did she get hit, I guess her dad got into a big fight in the stands and got ejected or something like that. I go,
well, yeah, there's all kinds of drama going on with this.
I know, it's
and
crazy.
Bubba, you probably know a little bit about it too. But Jason Williams was, white chocolate, I think they called him in basketball, and he was a Florida legend. And now his daughter plays for Texas Tech. But he's come out and said he's pretty upset with how the Florida fans acted throughout the whole game. Bo, what was your take on that mess? I think they were. And to Coach's point, it's one thing to be competitive and to be, I'm not saying everybody has to be best friends and walk off, all lovey-dovey, but there's a level of sportsmanship to some degree, and some decorum across the board in almost all sports. You fight like hell during the game, and then afterwards shake hands, say good game or whatever, and get on with it. Coach mentioned the head coach of Florida getting tossed in the last inning when they were down 9 runs, and he's arguing balls and strikes. Kind of crazy.
I want to get, go ahead. I just want to get a plug in for West Panhandle South Plains softball. Not only is Texas Tech in the World Series, their version, but West Texas A&M won the Division II South Central Regional, so they're going to the Division II World Series in Chattanooga, playing Thursday. It's their 4th trip to the World Series. They've won a couple of titles, so not everybody's from West Texas or whatever, but still, it's pretty good for the.
That is quite amazing, Lee. I didn't realize that about the other team, but that's
120 miles apart, and they both are at the College World Series, so it's pretty cool.
Really, really cool. I guess I sit back and we can revisit real quick our picks for the World Series champs. I know, Coach K, I'm not even going to ask you. I know it's Nebraska for you. You've rode them all year long. I've been pretty consistent with Arkansas as my dark horse. I'm still going to stick with them, but I'm hoping that my Tech Red Raiders can do some damage with their 1-2 punch. What about you, Lee?
Oh, I suppose I'll stay with the West Texas flavor and go with Red Raiders and see what happens.
Outstanding. Last question on softball, and then we'll move on to maybe Major League Baseball. But in softball, they have some unique rules, and you can take a player out, put a player back in, move them around in different positions. And Coach Glasgow of Texas Tech knows the rule book backwards and forwards, and he did something in that 3rd game against Florida that, quite honestly, in all my years of watching baseball, softball, I had never, ever seen. But he was literally, in the last couple of innings, if it was a right-handed batter, he had Nija pitching. If it was a left-handed batter, he had Caitlin pitching. They would switch in and out and in and out. Have you guys ever seen anything like that before?
No.
Never. Softball does have some strange rules. The fact is that the substitution rule boggles my mind. I mean, because I'm so ingrained in baseball, substitution, you make one,
You're
you
out.
get the one, boom, and then you sit.
Right.
You can substitute the one time, maybe.
Harkens back to the old days of football. In college football, you went out and you were done. They used to put their shoelaces
the Iron
around
Man
their
rule,
shoulders to show they had been come out of the game.
So it is strange. I mean, but that's a smart thing to do. If you know the rules, good coaches know the rule book forward and backwards. That's one of the advantages that I always felt like I had. I read the rule book, went to the rules clinic meetings, and did everything that I could till I could understand. So you can gain that little edge.
Bo,
that helps.
Do you see
success and failure.
this thing being a rule change next year in softball?
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy. Let's change our shift and talk about Major League Baseball. You know, the Houston Astros last night, although they've had an abysmal season, they actually pitched a combined no-hitter. Lee, what do you make of that? Are the Astros making a comeback, or was this just an anomaly?
Well, I watched the game listening to the Ranger announcers, and they were as befuddled as anybody, especially after the Astros Japanese pitcher walked 3 guys in the first inning and didn't give up a run and didn't give up a hit and got out of it, and then threw like 5 straight perfect innings before he came out of the game. So it was pretty interesting to watch. I was going to turn it off in about the 5th inning when the Ranger announcers reminded me that it was a no-hitter. I kept watching, so I watched all the way to the end. For a rookie to come in and get 6 outs in a situation like that is pretty amazing.
Yeah. Coach K, what are your thoughts on taking a pitcher who's got a no-hitter going and taking him out?
You know, I don't see any problem anymore. Seems like right now that, you know, if you can get 5 good innings out of a starter, that you know, they're trying to protect their arms.
Yeah,
And
but
again,
it used to be
we
such a
talked.
badge of honor to play a
Yeah, it used to be, with the fact, you know, you look at how many pitchers right now. You know, it used to be every starting pitcher wanted to have that complete game.
right.
Now, like I said, you know, again, we talked about it before we went on, but the way these guys are throwing and the tremendous stress they're putting on their arms, if you can get 5, 6 good innings out of a starter, that's considered to be success nowadays. These guys are doing with their arms, and you know, almost every major league pitcher is looking at somewhere down through their career having Tommy John surgery.
Well, we were talking about the Brewers pitcher, Mizorowski. You were giving me some stats on something he broke again last night.
He broke a record, you know, 57 pitches in excess of 100 miles an hour.
Wow.
His first 10 pitches were over 103.
Wow. Wow.
Let me ask you a question. Here's an interesting, I never heard this done before, but you know, Amarillo has a minor league team of the started out San Diego one year, now it's been the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks have a policy. If a pitcher any pitcher, whether it's a starter or reliever, throws 30 pitches in 1 inning, he's out. And, you know, you hear a lot of the old pitchers say you should throw more pitches to get your arm up to strength. And their policy is if you throw 30 pitches in 1 inning, you're done for the rest of the day. You may not throw it again for another 2-3 days. I thought that was interesting.
That is interesting.
That's an interesting concept. I mean, the fact, again, so much stress, fatigue, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think I would agree with that. I think, you know,
if
a kid's throwing 30 pitches, then he's probably in trouble. He needs to come out anyway.
Yeah.
So, no, I hadn't heard that, but I'm not sure I would be in agreement with it, because the fact is, you know, I think I'd probably already have pulled him.
Right.
Yeah.
And, you know, just that lack of control.
Yeah.
And it was strange, like you said, the Japanese pitcher for the Astros, like, you know, started off terrible.
Right.
And that's the one John was talking about.
Oh, yeah, he's made fun of him a couple of times. Yeah, baseball world, Bo, in Major League Baseball. And you have got most of the teams that are supposed to be at the top now are kind of settling back up at the top, but there's still a few surprises. Coach K and I were talking, you know, the Mariners are not performing up to speed. Obviously, the Astros have had the injury. Both of those teams have had the injury bug. What's your take on where Major League Baseball is settling in now? We're getting closer to the All-Star break. We're still about a month away, but we're getting closer to it.
Yeah, two surprises, Tom. Keep our fingers crossed. I'm having Wi-Fi issues again. But
yes.
Anyway, I'll speak quickly. Tampa Bay Rays and St. Louis has really been playing well. They were like 8 or 9 games over 500. They dropped off a little now, but the Cardinals went with the youth movement, 26-year age, youngest team in the majors, and got rid of all their good players, all their good pitchers, unfortunately. But I don't understand the Astros, like you said, have had a lot of people injured, but how about the no-hitter, the first one since 2024 last
we were just talking about that and how it was amazing. It was a combined effort and, you know, just kind of a piecemeal, if you will. I think they used 3 pitchers in the game. The went 6 innings, I think, and then
Yeah.
middle reliever went 2 innings, and then the closer went 1. And it was a rookie closer, I think. Santa was his last name, and he got his first major league strikeout as the last out of the no hitter. So kind of a good christening for him, if you will. With Bo here, we want to take advantage of his time. Let's switch over to college baseball because it's about to become the center of the universe here with the road to Omaha starting. Bo, give us some nuggets from what you thought about the draw.
Well, eight more SEC teams. I thought Alabama was kind of overrated at 7. They played tough strength of schedule. Auburn had the number 1 strength of schedule in the country, and that got them, I think, a 4. So UCLA looks like the team to beat. Although the funny thing, Tom, in the group, they've lost some midweek at UC Santa Barbara, and a couple of people, good, decent teams knocked them off. But they finally had their 25-game Big Ten winning streak. It still seems weird to talk about UCLA and USC in the Big Ten.
It does. It seems very weird.
But
you've got some other teams that were left out of the draw that were kind of shocking. Mercer and UTSA. Can you shed some light on that, because those programs did a good job this year?
Yes, I'm still trying to figure out 5 Sun Belt teams, which an all-time high. Southern Miss is hosting, top 16 seed. Kind of hard to figure. Mercer's the one that really sends a question mark to me. 32-29. They got to the finals of the Sun Belt. They played a tough schedule, had a good RPI, but you had Pittsburgh sitting out there. Michigan had a really nice RPI. They were 34-24, but had a better than average season. And the weirdest thing is you got Dallas Baptist, Vanderbilt, LSU, and Clemson all sitting out there with Vanderbilt 19 years consecutively in the NCAA, and they're all sitting back at home watching on ESPN. So I think it speaks to the strength of baseball.
Yeah, I think it's a wide open field. I agree with you that UCLA is kind of the sitting favorite. Lee, who's your favorite for the College World Series?
Oh, I don't know. I was looking at the list the other day, and I'm still astounded about how many SC teams are in. I mean, like
12
forever,
12.
the whole league.
Yeah,
I would pick one of them apparently because they got the numbers. One of them ought to make it to the championship round.
Of course, they wind up playing each other and knocking some of them out. So that happens a lot. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of them in there. I was surprised actually to see how far the Aggies dropped. I thought they had a strong enough portfolio of games through the year to at least get a top 8 bid, and they dropped down to 12? I think they were 12 seed. Yeah.
You wonder what these committees are thinking. They dropped Texas Tech softball to number 11 as coaches. And they were like you said, Lee, they were what, 51-4 regular season just because
it's total doesn't make any sense. But I mean, we could talk about selection picks for the rest of our lives on almost every sport. There's always somebody that's left out and butthurt, so to speak. But I think the tournament, I think the NCAA baseball tournament is one of the most exciting events in all of sports. I look forward to it every year. I'm usually glued to the extra innings or whatever they call it on ESPN, where they show all the games. And that's a lot of fun. But it's going to be wide open this year. I do think we're going to see some surprises. I just have a feeling that somebody somewhere is going to make some noise. And that's usually true in this tournament. Usually 1 or 2 teams make it to Omaha that nobody really saw happening. Who's your surprise team, Coach K? Who's going to surprise us all in the baseball tournament?
Okay, I'm going to go with Arkansas.
Okay.
I mean, they have been playing lights out lately, and the fact that they're mad right now because they felt like they should have got the host instead of going to Lawrence. I think they're going to Lawrence, and they felt like they got snubbed. So they're going to go into this with a little chip on their shoulder, but they've been playing excellent ball right now. And, it's somebody they've kind of been, again, the SEC has been brutal this year. I mean, that's why I'm not a big UCLA fan right now. Playing the Big Ten schedule, the only teams they played were on the West Coast. everybody else. Now, Michigan, yeah, okay. Michigan is kind of in there too. But, you look at the rest of the Big Ten schedule. I don't know. Bo would know the RPI, their ranking.
They're like fifth,
but
I think.
I'm not impressed with their schedule. For a team to come through the SEC, like, again, Arkansas has, I got a good feeling about them right now. So I'm going with Arkansas, even though they're not even hosting this week.
All right, Bo, who's your surprise pick?
It's kind of a no surprise, but Georgia really rolled through the SEC tournament, and they've got Wes Johnson, a former assistant coach at Dallas Baptist, who's a really great pitching coach, and I think they've hit like 150 home runs this year. Tom, they're threatening the NCAA season home run record. I think 188 by LSU in the
and this isn't in the era of the
1997
live
Gorilla
bat,
Ball day,
like we saw in the 80s when
but
the
they play in
bats were
Foley
crazy.
Field at Athens is a fairly small park, so they really jack it around out there. But they've got a good mix of hitting and pitching, and I agree with Coach a little bit. I think Arkansas let them run rule them so they could get home and get ready to play in the NCAA tournament.
Absolutely, and
there's
like I said,
kind of ulterior motives.
This
these
is a
conference
time
tournaments
period
sometimes.
where we don't even have the live bats like we had in the 80s. That's crazy. Lee, who's your dark horse pick for taking all the marbles?
Somebody stole my thunder because I never paid much attention to Arkansas baseball, but then when the young player named Heston Kerstedt from here signed to go play at Arkansas, we all started watching Arkansas baseball, and I go, well, you guys got a really good program. I never even think about it. I'd have to go with him. I watched a couple of their games. They're pretty good this year. I don't want to steal anybody's thunder, but they look like they might have a chance to go through everybody. I should mention also that one of the high school teams here is still in the high school playoffs in 4A. They're going to play Pleasant Grove, and Pleasant Grove has a left-handed pitcher who is going to Arkansas. So they have a future Razorback playing in Texas.
Interesting.
In the state playoffs.
Bo, we had mentioned before that the division, I guess is Division II, is out there where Coach K is at, where they're playing the World Series. Tell us what's going on.
They went down.
Oh, no.
Mesa lost out. They went a 3-game series and lost the last one. Actually got beat fairly handily. No, Mesa State's out of it right now.
Okay.
JUCO College World Series is going on right now. We're down into the last four teams. Matter of fact, there's games going on right now. Interesting. You see a lot of young superstars emerging in the JUCO, and so it's always interesting to kind of follow it. It's been. I don't know. It's almost baseball overload right now
it
with
really
all the
is.
different things going on.
And with all the other sports, Bo, I'll direct this at you, but everybody feel free to chime in. With all the other sports in college, basically expanding their playoffs. We talked about football wanting to go to 16 or 24. Basketball just announced they're going to a bigger program. Do you see baseball expanding? I know it used to be 32 for a long time. Bo, what's your thoughts on that? Do you see that happening?
Earlier this spring, the NCAA said they'd like to have 25% of all people in the Division I baseball. It's got 308 teams, so that would actually be 76 teams, which is what basketball. Playing games would be fun. They had that when they had the 48 and the 44 team brackets. The SWAC would play the Patriot League. Those were always kind of one and done and a
one and done type of game.
It really was. There's sort of everything. You talk about everything being on the line on every pitch. And getting back to D2, Coach, I saw UT Tyler made it, which was a little bit of a surprise. They're in the Lone Star Conference. I guess kind of had a good end of the year there or whatever too. But do we have any Texas teams in the JUCO World Series right now? Are they still alive? Or
I'm not aware.
Do we have any Texas
teams in the JUCO World Series?
I'm trying to remember now. I looked at the bracket today and who was playing, and my mind's drawing a blank right now. I've seen too many names and too many teams. So, it's interesting to see again. I don't know. It's overload, but again, it's fun overload. because you can turn on and you can see a good game just about any time you want to.
The one that's fun is Division III. Johns Hopkins has great, of course they're in Baltimore, which is a great area, but they call them out of surgery from the med school. Go to the ball games. The smartest team in Division III baseball.
Well, I saw that the NCAA crowned their lacrosse champions this week, and Northwestern beat North Carolina. And the interesting thing about that was they actually played it at Northwestern's home stadium. I don't know how you swing to play the championship game in your home stadium, but good for them. They came out on top, and I believe Princeton won the men's championship.
16-9, blew Notre Dame
win
away,
one for the Ivy League. The smart boys get out there and did something right.
Princeton.
It 25 years, 26 years since they last won one of those.
It was. And lacrosse is a sport that I'm trying to learn to understand. It's got some similarities, obviously, with hockey, and it looks like it's played on a football field almost that's got end zone that they can go behind the goal. It's definitely an interesting sport, and I certainly don't understand all the rules, but I certainly appreciate the athleticism of the players out there. So kudos to both the men's and women's teams for their championships that they had. Let's go to the NCAA football news, and I know it sounds like we talk about Texas Tech a lot, but there's a lot of things going on in the news with Texas Tech these days with all the NIL money and all that. The NCAA made a ruling today on Brendan Sorsby. I don't know if y'all saw this. This happened just prior to us coming on air. They basically ruled him ineligible for the rest of his life for NCAA, which is basically what their rules state. Now, obviously, it's set to go to court at the beginning of June here, so who knows? But what's your take on the NCAA? And we've talked about them being toothless. So, Coach K, I'll let you go first. What's your take on that?
Well, I mean, we said that in the past, when it goes to the courts, the NCAA does not have a very stellar record. I mean, the fact is it's almost over. They got the gopher going for them. So, and it's strange because the fact almost anybody could point to, well, you're making an example of him, or you're doing this, and you didn't do it before with this group, so why are you doing it now with this group? And we said it several weeks ago. It's like the Wild West right now. What rules are you going to enforce, and what rules are people going to abide by? And it seems like right now, it do what you can and what you can get away with.
Yeah.
Until you get, you're not guilty until you get caught.
Right. Right. Well,
and then even then, if you get caught, sue.
Yeah.
And go to court and do it in a local court.
Yeah,
and
friendly judge.
Again, it's all based on money right now. We talked about, pardon me, how money is corrupting everything, and it is.
It does. It corrupts everything. But Lee, what is the attitude of the fans out in West Texas for Texas Tech regarding Sorsby? I'm a Texas Tech grad, and quite honestly, I don't want him to play.
Yeah, well, it's going to be in a Lubbock court, so the NCAA is going to lose. It's pretty simple. And then they'll have to sue again. But everything I see on any kind of social media, Texas Tech fans are ready for him to play football with that guy at quarterback. And then
really?
That's just that's the basic feeling.
See, to me, I almost feel, Bo, like they should just cut bait and just say, you know what? We're trying to get him the help that he needs.
Yeah.
We'll honor his scholarship if we have to, but I don't want him any part of the program because I think it's always going to be tainted. Whatever they do, if they won big, it's going to be because they're playing with a cheater.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
sort of like Pete Rose and all the other thing.
Exactly.
But
I mean, I don't see how he can come out of a several year serious addiction to gambling in 30 days. I just don't. Yeah. I don't see that happening. And even if it did, it didn't excuse that he bet on games that his teams participated in. And I want to know what the ramifications are going to be for those teams.
I'm like you. I don't see how 30 days in rehab solved his problem. It's like Tiger Woods just went over to Switzerland to solve his problems again. I go, what? If you couldn't do it here, why are you going to do it in Switzerland? Yeah,
Swiss chocolate.
Who knows what? But I guarantee you, the Lubbock court's going to rule in his favor. No way not.
I have a feeling you're probably right, but I'm shocked to hear that you think most of the fans out there in West Texas are for the kid to come back and play. I just.
Yeah.
I kind of wish Coach McGuire would grow a backbone on this and just say, you're not playing for this program. And at the risk of, we may not have that quality of quarterback to back him up, but
I'm not sure has he said anything? I keep looking and I look around and he's made some very some comments that
generic,
kind of walking around it, but he's never said, "Hey, yes, he's going to play," or "No, we want him, don't want him to play." He never said that.
No, basically, all he said is, "We're supporting the young man in his rehab efforts, and let's see where that goes." And I applaud that they're trying to help the young man. I'm not saying that he's a horrible person and needs to be banished from earth. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that I don't think Texas Tech at this point should play him. I think they could get out on a morals clause, get their $5 million back, and move on. Coach K, you said it's all about money. Don't you think that's what you would do if you were on there, or would you try to?
Well, I think that again we look at it and say, okay, you're not guilty until you get caught. The fact is, and again, it sounds like that we're going to play, and let the chips fall where they may. I would cut bait and run, just like you said. I mean, I'm going to go with a kid that showed me a lot of heart last season.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name.
ACL injury,
played with a broken leg.
Yeah.
And again, he still did a good job. He just didn't have the mobility that he had earlier in the season. I would like to reward that kid. The fact is, they went out and got the best quarterback that was available. What's going to happen to Cincinnati? I mean, that's where it all happened.
I
it
agree.
happened under their watch.
And
if anybody should,
I think they knew.
Oh, yeah, definitely they knew. I mean, the fact is, a guy that's making that many bets.
Yeah.
And again,
thousands of
the
them.
locker room talk
Thousands
and
of
stuff
them.
like that.
Yeah.
They knew. They and he isn't probably the only one. He's the one who got caught.
Yeah.
And so the fact is, that's the one that's out there. So, I think, there are a couple other schools that are still on the hook for this. And they're just kind of like, and I'm not certain that one of them isn't the one that turned him in. And that shows that they knew.
Well, I
to
agree.
me,
yeah.
So I've got some real concerns both ways. I think, again, he made his decision. He knew it was wrong, and he didn't do it just once or twice. Everybody gets caught up every once in a while.
I agree, and I'm a big believer in second chances. I just don't know that it needs to be at Texas Tech. If he's going to get
the magnitude of his crime,
route or something,
I think the magnitude of his crime is really what's going to bring this one to a head.
Good.
It's not just several. Occasional, and again, most of them are penny ante, $5, $10 bets, even less than that. But it's still, when you bet on your own team, it's the Pete Rose syndrome thing.
Yeah.
If you bet on your own team, even if you bet on them to win, you're still betting on your team,
right? And
you have insider information. You know who's good. You've got the scouting report. Wrong is wrong. I'm a believer in that, and the fact is, it's disturbing to me right now, the state of affairs, kind of in college athletics, with rule enforcement.
And off camera, I asked Coach K an interesting question, and I've been meaning to ask him this for a long time, and I'm going to let you respond to it here just a second, Coach K. But I want to get these two guys' takes. If you had played collegiate sports in the past, would you regret that you didn't play in today's day and age and get this kind of money? Or would you still want to have played in that time period that you played in? I'll open it up for both of you, and then I'm going to get Coach K's reaction because I had a great conversation with him off camera about
And
that.
I apologize. I've got to make one comment and take off, but I've got the perfect solution to the whole thing, Tom. The Big Ten and the SEC have said at their spring meetings they're going to withdraw from the NCAA and take the money and go. So
Take the money
Sorsby
and
would
run.
be immediately eligible at one of the big monies. Our old friend.
It probably is. Yes. Take care,
Right.
Bo. Thanks for being here. Lee, what do you take of that? Would you
Well,
play?
as they say, money's the root of all evil. So I would venture to. I think I would have rather played it back in the day. Been bad part. I'm old. I preferred it back in the day. You like to think it was a simpler time, but there was, I mean, remember we've talked, I think, about Willie Mays and Mickey Mantle. They were suspended from baseball, and all they did was stand in front of a casino.
Right.
And Bowie Kuhn said, you can't do that to keep baseball clean.
Right.
Pete Rose is probably making bets at the same time,
Yeah.
but they didn't know it. But
Yeah.
I think it would have been I would have preferred a different time and
He
different
was
era.
probably making bets on how many drinks Mickey was going to have that night. I don't know.
Probably.
Well, now I promised I'd let Coach K respond to that because I think he had an interesting take. So the floor is yours,
Well,
Coach K.
like I said earlier, the fact that I thought about it a lot, and again, I guess I'm kind of jealous in a way because, my scholarship at OU was books, tuition, room and board, and $15 a month laundry money. But we didn't have meals on Sunday night, so your $15 went to buy your dinner for that month on Sundays. I guess I'm jealous. I'm kind of envious of what these guys are making nowadays for doing what I did for the love of the game, which that part of me remains pure. I love playing. I love the competition. I love the honor of playing for OU and later Central State University in football. The fact is, I took pride in what I did and the product I presented. So I've got mixed emotions. I'm jealous and envious. Yeah, hell yeah, I'd love to make a couple $1 million
Yeah.
and support my family
Yeah,
because
who
I was
wouldn't?
playing as
Right.
I was playing as a married father
Wow.
the last 2 years of when I was playing, and so yeah, I would have liked to have been able to, not be serving mac and cheese and tuna every night, and popcorn for a snack.
And see, I appreciate that candor because I agree with you, Lee, that if I had been of a caliber of an athlete that Coach K was, yeah, I would have loved to have played for the love of the game in the past and like to think that that's where I really wanted to be, getting my education for free and all that good rot. But boy, you start flashing a couple $1 million. If I've got that kind of talent, man, maybe I want to play right now. I don't know. But that leads to, Coach K, we talked about the sustainability about this, and we've talked about this on this program ad nauseum. But you said you did some research on this a little bit. Tell us a little bit about what you saw and how is this going to last? There's not enough money.
There's not, and again, that's why you're looking at what Bo referred to right before he left us was, the two big leagues are getting ready to probably merge. That's the handwriting on the wall, and that's what you look at what the ACC did last week at their meeting. They kind of tried to placate and cozy up to the Big Ten. Yeah, we'll support you in doing this. But, the handwriting's on the wall. The SEC and the Big Ten are going to do their thing. They're going to join together and become the Super League. And with probably Notre Dame added on as an add-in to the whole Super League situation. The thing right now is sustainability. That's the big word that's being flying around right now. It doesn't matter, whether you're talking about the league meetings, or just any sports show right now. The NCAA set the $20 million nil limit. That was what was supposed to be the cap. Well, nobody's playing by that rule. Heck, right now, if you're not spending close to 50 mil, you're not competitive.
Yeah, and you threw a number out.
We're talking $50 million for football.
Right.
We're not talking $50 million for a whole
Across all
sports program.
Well, you threw a number out earlier We were talking about 80
predicting
or
that
90
within 3
million.
years,
80 or 90
within
million.
3 years, it'll be $80 to $90 million to sustain a football program if you want to be competitive.
Man, they'll have to start
Oh,
getting a loan from Lee Baker to get out there and pay these people. I mean,
the fact is that, and again, that's why you're going to see the Super League. That's why, because of the money they can draw. They can demand from ESPN, ABC, CBS, whatever, or they can go stream with streaming that's available. That's another big issue that's going on right now, is streaming of athletic events.
well, and it goes back to those championship games we talked about. And Lee, I wanted to get your opinion on the championship games, especially in football. You know, a lot of times we look at it and like, why is this necessary to play? But by the same token, we know the reason.
Well, you can draw a parallel, kind of like between what's happening in college football and all that money with what happened in golf with Live Golf in Saudi Arabia, who reportedly has enough oil to last for 300 more years and has unlimited funds. Well, their unlimited funds went away
Running
because
out.
Live Golf is now not going to be funded by that PIF because they don't want to keep putting millions of dollars into it because they're not recouping any of that money back. And to this day, I don't know how. I mean, I get the colleges sell a lot of tickets and you get 90,000 people a game, but eventually that's not going to cover your costs and you're only going to play so many home games a year.
Right.
So, eventually the money's going to run out or dwindle.
And I love the fact that the non-revenue generating sports are getting some love. I mean, we're seeing more coverage on the non-revenue generating sports than we ever have before. I mean, just look at the case of softball. I mean, you can see almost every softball game in the country now at a collegiate level on TV. So there's some money being put towards it, but the long-term sustainability for volleyball or equestrian teams or whatever. I love all those sports. I think it's wonderful that we have them, but how are they going to be able to support this through NIL and pay millions of dollars to those athletes?
Well, if you have
go ahead, Lee.
I was just going to say, if you have ESPN Plus, you can watch all those sports.
Right.
Everything there is in
you can watch it all.
College ranks. Yeah.
So, no, I just think, the cash cow is going to go dry. I agree with Lee. The fact is, there's only so much. And so, you can only drain it for so long until, TV, all the networks, they're going to get to a point where they basically are going to say no.
Man.
And when they say no, it's all going to come crashing. I mean, crashing down. And so the sustainability, they're saying right now, it isn't sustainable. There is no way that, even if you take all of the networks and you do all the things and you combine all of that money, there's not going to be enough to go around to satisfy all of the teams, 128 in Division I, that play football. There's not going to be enough money.
Do you see a point where it might come full circle and go back to the way it was before?
No, it's never going back.
You can't put the genie back in the bottle.
I can't see that. No, the genie's out of the bottle. The fact is that, it's just, and I think I do believe it's correct. I really do believe it's correct to pay the athletes. I don't think it's correct to pay them $6, $7, $8, $9 million. But, I think, again, I always thought, I look back and I told you earlier when we were off the air, I felt like going back and looking at it, I could have flipped burgers at McDonald's and made more money than I got from my scholarship. But I got the privilege of playing. And that was what sustained me through all of that. The fact is, I got to play, I got to compete, and it was a joy.
But don't you think
now that the genie's now that it's out there?
Don't you think there was cheating back then? I mean, we heard all the stories of the $100 handshakes, and then you look at a movie like, I know it was a fictitious movie, but you look at a movie like The Program, set back in the 80s, where money was just going left and right. You look at what happened at SMU and all of that. I mean, You talked about how the rules are being changed or broken now. They set this 20 million cap, and it's being over. Hasn't there always been cheating, and haven't the haves always been kind of doing stuff under the table, or am I naive in thinking that?
No, I can tell
No, I
you.
don't.
Go ahead, Coach. Go ahead, Coach.
No, like I said before, the fact that when I was going to OU, we knew who was getting money. The football players, the stars, they were the ones driving the really nice cars. They were the ones that had really nice clothes. And like I said, I knew them personally, several of them personally, from playing against them in high school and different things in summer leagues. And they couldn't afford that stuff.
Yeah.
It had to be coming in. Some of them actually openly bragged about it. So, yeah, it's been going on, I'd have to say pretty much in perpetuity.
Yeah. And what were you going to say, Lee?
I was just going to say, West Texas A&M used to be West Texas State, right? Division I before they dropped to Division II in '86, I believe. But if you look up the NCAA records, one of the most penalized teams for schools for cheating in NCAA is West Texas State. They were always giving money to players to come out to Canyon to play ball. And then in the last year of their basketball program, they went to Hawaii, and one of their donors was dropping money off of a balcony to the players. And that got them put on suspension. They were standing out on the beach catching money.
It's raining cash. You got to like that.
So you would never think that the tiny school in Canyon would be one of the most bad boys of the league back in the day, but they've been suspended a lot and got caught.
Wow. And I did not know that. I wasn't aware of the quote underhanded dealings out there in Canyon, Texas. But is there any other subjects that we need to hit out in the sports world before we go to scatter shooting?
I'm not an NBA fan, but how about the Knicks? They've won 11 in a row. That's a pretty good streak in the playoffs.
They really are doing well, and this Oklahoma City San Antonio semifinal looks pretty sharp to me too. What do you think, Coach?
Yeah, I'm a Thunder fan, so I'm prejudiced. But again, they didn't look very good at all in the last game. They got blown out, and looking at some of the faces of the players, pretty dejected, almost defeatist looking. So, Wemby is the real deal. I mean, they made a great adjustment in that last game. They quit doubling up on SGA, and they basically said, we're going to challenge you in the paint, and if you can make it that far, we're going to let Wemby take care of the rest of it.
Right.
And he's doing the job. He's stepping. SGA won the MVP, but we know who the best player is in the NBA right now.
Right. Well, and I agree. The Knicks are on fire. I mean, they're playing like they want it for sure. No doubt.
They invested. They went in big time, invested in the offseason, rebuilt their program, their roster with quality players, and it's paying off big time for them right now.
Absolutely.
You don't see many teams get this deep, winning 11 in a row.
No, that's almost unheard of at this stage of basketball. It really is. I guess we've got the Stanley Cup playoffs going on now too, so that's always an exciting time. I tend to start tuning in a little later in the playoff picture with that, but that's always exciting. But I think now we should head to scatter shooting. We're up against our time frame, so Lee, I'm going to throw it to you. What's your scatter shooting for the week?
Well, we're getting ready here in the Panhandle of Texas to have pro golf come to Amarillo in the form of the Corn Ferry Tour, and I was out at the golf course a couple of days ago. They're already putting up stands behind 3 different greens and tee boxes. So if anybody watching this is in the 200-mile radius of Amarillo, Texas, you have a chance to see guys who've been on the PGA Tour and at least 20 who will be on the PGA Tour next year, and that's going to start on I believe the 11th, Thursday, the 11th of June, at Tascosa Country Club. So it's going to be kind of neat to have all those guys in town. They just were in Chattanooga, Tennessee. They're kind of working their way west. And so they'll be here before long. So we're all looking forward to it. In fact, somebody said the other day they're expecting, in our population isn't that big, but they're expecting maybe 10,000 a day to come out and watch the golf. So they're preparing for a lot of people. So that'd be kind of neat if it happens.
That'll be a great experience for anybody out in
Yeah.
that picture. So we certainly encourage anybody to head out there. That's a great great point. Now we go to you, Coach K. What's your scatter shooting for the week?
Yeah, I was just blown away at the post-game press conferences held after the Knicks completely demolished the Cleveland Cavaliers. Listening to James Harden to have the audacity to make the claim that Cleveland was by far and away the better team. They got swept 4-0. They got beat by 40 points in the final game.
They got spanked.
They put up zero effort, and to come out and a press conference and you know, what planet are you living on, dude? I mean, the fact is, you just got humiliated.
Oh,
You got swept. I mean, I kind of like the thing that the mayor of New York posted. You know, he says from the New York Sanitation Department, you just got swept. So, you know, I don't think Harden got the message. I think, you know, maybe,
I'm not sure what games he was watching.
The brain went down to his beard, because the fact is that is one of the most ridiculous.
Wow.
You know, be humble in defeat, dude.
Wow.
You just got humiliated.
Well, I am going to go to the world of professional bowling. And a gentleman on the PBA Tour named Darren Tang did something that nobody else has done. And he has won a tournament, both one-handed and two-handed. You know, they allow two-handed bowlers now in the PBA. And he won a tournament two-handed here the other day because he taught himself the new way to bowl that way. So he's the first PBA bowler to have won a big championship, both bowling the old-fashioned way and bowling the new-fashioned way. So kudos to Darren Tang. Whether you think he should be able to bowl two hands or not, doesn't matter, because those are the rules, right?
That's cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Great.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for us. We appreciate you stopping by. Again, hopefully next week we'll have the whole crew. Sorry we had kind of a skeleton crew today, but I think we had some great conversation, a lot of spirited discussion. So Lee and Coach K, we'll say goodbye now, and thanks a lot, everybody.